You know, I consider myself reasonably well, whatever the movie equivalent of well-read is, well-watched. But I think maybe the most embarrassing fact about me is that I have now seen the 2023 holiday slasher film, It's a Wonderful Knife, while still having not seen It's a Wonderful Life. I'll get around to it eventually, probably. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and today we're talking about It's a Wonderful Knife, which is a slasher-themed reimagining of the holiday classic It's a Wonderful Life. In the classic film, a suicidal man named George Bailey is allowed to see what the world would be like if he were no longer in it. And the slasher twist on that is that a masked killer is terrorizing a town, a teenage girl kills him, this is all in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then she is kind of thrown into this alternate universe to see what the world would be like if she had never been born. And the first thing I want to say is just about the modern movie landscape generally. I love that movies like this are getting made. I don't even think this movie was particularly good. We'll get into my reasons for that in just a minute, but this is just an area where I feel like streaming services really shine. Because this is a fun premise, it is a low-stakes movie for a viewer to commit to, and it's like 80 minutes long. But it's also the kind of movie that if I were to see it in theaters, I would probably leave feeling kind of ripped off by having paid full theater price for it. Like, okay, you know, that was fine, but that was $12. How much better to just fire up the Shudder app, watch your movie, and 90 minutes later go about the rest of your day. So I'm glad we're in a landscape where we can all experience a movie like this at sort of maximal convenience. That being said, this does feel like a straight-to-DVD movie in parts. It kind of reminds me of one of those old Hallmark movies, actually. Which maybe that's some of the appeal. There's definitely a holiday nostalgia on display here, which it takes place in the present day, so I'm not totally sure how they pulled that off. And I should mention this stars both Joel McHale and Justin Long, two comedic actors whose work I have previously enjoyed, and it was written by a guy named Michael Kennedy, who previously wrote what I thought was the very good script for the 2020 sort of slasher comedy film called Freaky. So I didn't go in with super high expectations, but I was at least intrigued enough to be like, all right, let's do this. And I ended up thinking that the movie wasn't entirely successful, but that it at least succeeded enough where it needed to for me to feel like I could justify spending my time on it. Because first of all, Justin Long was hilarious. I'm loving this like horror movie heel turn he's doing where he just pops up in random kind of schlocky fun horror movies and just plays a total asshole. I hope he keeps doing it. I loved him in Barbarian. I'm okay with more Justin Long in my lighthearted horror. I also cheered aloud when the cigarette smoking man from The X-Files came on screen. I had no idea he was even still alive, but I'm glad he is. I thought the two performances from the main girls were really good too. Their names are Jane Widdop and Jess McLeod. I'd never heard of either of them before, but I thought they had fantastic chemistry together. And the other thing I really liked about this movie is the slasher himself. They call him the Snow Angel or something. He's dressed in all white mask. He's a surprisingly kick-ass killer for this kind of movie. He actually reminded me a lot of Ghostface in Scream 6 specifically, because a lot of the earlier Scream movies, Ghostface is kind of bumbling and he's constantly tripping over shit, and you can just tell he doesn't know what he's doing. And so, you know, teenage girls are getting away from him regularly with minimal effort. It's not that intimidating. But in Scream 6, there's a physicality to Ghostface that actually is quite intimidating. He's bigger and stronger. You can tell he knows what he's doing. There's this scene where he's kind of stalking through the aisles of a convenience store with a shotgun that's like genuinely kind of freaky. And yeah, there's a physicality to this Snow Angel killer that is pretty reminiscent of that. Like, he looks creepy and ethereal, first of all, but then beyond that, he seems capable enough that you're like, okay, this is a real threat. Now, all that being said, it's just not that good of a movie. Honestly, I'm struggling to even film this video because I'm just trying to rack my brain for details of the movie, which I just saw last night. You know, sometimes I'll look through my Letterboxd account. I have a list of every movie I've ever seen from every year of my life in the order that I liked them, because I'm an enormous dork. And I'll click on some, you know, 2016, random year, whatever, right? And I'll look in the middle of the pack for the movies that I saw, and there'll just be this movie that I'm like, did I see that? What the hell is that? And so I'll click on it and see like who's in it, what's it about, and I would bet my life that I have never seen this movie. But no, it's there. I rated it, I reviewed it, and it evidently just leaked out of my ears. This movie is definitely a leaker. Other than the cool looking killer, there is nothing that even threatens to stick in my mind here. For a horror-themed spin-off of It's a Wonderful Life, this screenplay is just shockingly generic, and you almost get the sense that they knew that, so they tried to compensate, like, hey, you know, maybe more people will like this if we make 90% of the characters gay.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
It also doesn't totally feel like it takes place in a real place, if that makes sense. It's more like this manufactured town for a movie, wherein all the teenagers kind of get together and have these raging drinking parties on Christmas Eve night, which, you know, maybe I missed out, but that doesn't happen, does it, anywhere? I mean, I get it if you've got like an absent single parent or something, you don't really have any plans on Christmas Eve, but every single family I've ever met would just tell their kids, no, you're not going to a party on Christmas Eve. So that felt weird. We've also got a third act here that's significantly weaker than the other two. I actually thought this movie kind of started off fairly strong and intriguing, and then just kind of gradually petered off from there. Should I have done that backwards for the camera, like this way? This way? What is it? I don't know. And we eventually reach the point where not only do several aspects of the ending not make sense, but you as the viewer don't care at all that they don't make sense. Not because you've had just such a fantastic time that you can overlook whatever mistakes the movie's gonna throw at you, more because you've already started thinking about what you're gonna do once the movie ends. I normally don't borrow from other film critics on this channel, but J. Kim Murphy of Variety hit the nail so on the head with this quote that I'm gonna close with it. He said, "The film is defined by an overruling superfluousness. It's the sort of thing people might be satisfied with watching from the corner of their eyes while wrapping presents." I'm going to agree with that wholeheartedly and give It's a Wonderful Knife 2.5 stars out of 5. Alright guys, stay tuned for more spooky content coming soon. We've got a few upcoming releases that I'm very excited to talk about. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.